Hey y'all, welcome to Veggie Farming. I'm Stacy. Today we are indoors and I am going to take you through my entire indoor seed starting setup, show you everything I use and explain why. Now, if you've been on my channel, then you know I start 90% of my seeds indoors hydroponically, and then I up pot them into soil. I've been doing this over the last few years and it's really worked out well for me. So that's my preferred method for starting seeds. Now, there are a few things that I found that don't germinate well in hydroponics, and I'll start them directly in soil, and I'll show you how I do that also. So this is just a small area in my house, right behind my sofas. So I'm able to start all of my seeds in this small area for my whole garden. So it can be done, and I'll show you what I use to get it done. We'll start over here in this little corner where I consider it my indoor seed starting station. And all it is a potting mat. And this will catch any soil or water that drops. And I just have it sitting on these two old ottomans that have seen better days, but this helps to protect the top. And I also keep my kneeling bench here, and I use it as a seat, and it puts me at the perfect height to sit here and comfortably start seeds. Now, I like to use this Jiffy seed starting mix because I like the texture. It's very fine. It doesn't have a lot of sticks or anything in it. And I think the seeds can easily germinate in it. But it doesn't have any nutrition. So what I like to do is add these worm castings as well as this neem seed meal. The neem seed meal has an NPK of 612, and it also gives some protection for fungus gnats. So I'll add that in. And I do add boiling water to the seed starting mix. So I put the seed starting mix in here. I'll add the boiling water and I'll let it cool down. And then after it's cooled, that's when I go in and add the worm castings and the neem seed meal. Now these are the size trays that I like to use when I am starting my flowers or herbs that I don't start hydroponically. And I just use these little 6-cell trays. And these are from Bootstrap Farmer. And normally, I don't know if anyone else does this, but after I take these outside and transplant out of it, I have a section where I just normally leave them outside until I clean them. So they have been outside through all of the ice, full summer temperatures, and they still look the same, no cracking. I did have a few that started to fade into a lighter pink. Maybe you can see that in this group. You can see that these are a little bit lighter than the others. And so that's just kind of the wear that I saw on it, but it's still just as strong. And so these are good trays. So what I'll do after I get them fully, all the seeds put in here, anything that doesn't require light to germinate, I'll add a layer of vermiculite on top. And I do that to kind of keep the tops dry, and that will also cut down on fungus gnats. And so I have a large bag of this vermiculite, and what I'll do is I just take some and keep it in this little Dollar Tree container. I use this little spoon and I just sprinkle it right on top. I have not planted these yet, so I'm not gonna sprinkle that on, but I'll show you what that looks like. Now this is another little tool caddy that I keep. These are the labels. I like to label my seeds, and so a lot of times I cut these in half, and I'll just use a half of one, and I'll write on it and stick it right in there. And I found this garden marker, and it has lasted pretty well through the whole season. I found that it did not fade, so I like this. I'll continue to use this marker. I also have in here these little nail scissors or eyebrow scissors, but what I use them for is thinning out. So if I have more than one seedling come up and I choose the strongest one and then the other, I can just snip off at the base. They're so small that it gives good precision. And I also recently got these tweezers, seed tweezers, in some kind of kit, but I find that they do work well for small seeds, being able to place them right where you want them. And also I have this nail nipper, and what I use this for is any seed that has a thick seed coat and I need to nip a little bit of it to help it germinate. I find that these are sharp enough and they have enough precision to it that they work well. And I also like to keep some chopsticks here because it helps me to make holes in the soil sometimes when I can kind of put it at the depth or in wherever I want to drop the seed. And so I like to keep these on hand, as well as these little plastic spoons. All right, and this is the seed starting station. Now I'll take you over to the shelves. Now back over here behind these sofas is where I keep my shelving. And this is one of those 5-tier wire shelves. And so this is how I have this set up. And the top tiers I mainly use for storage. And you can see I don't have much in between room in between these two, because as the plants get larger, I keep this one really separated. And so that's where I'll put the taller plants, and also where I keep my hydroponics when I first start using them. Eventually the hydroponics will be moved to the top shelf after the plants are up potted and I start to use these shelves. And like I said, I use these for seed starting, so you can see how many holes they have in most of my hydroponic systems, because that's how I use them. I have the seed starting top in most of these. This is AeroGarden Harvest, both of these with the seed starting top to them. And this is the AeroGarden Bounty Basic. And you can see that I have all of these all taped off and ready to go. And so this is how I label and know what I've planted in these spots. I just use the garden marker and I write on there. And so they just peel off easily when I'm ready to reuse it for the next season. Down on this shelf, I just have more of those bottom trays from Bootstrap Farmer that I just reordered. I have a watering can, and then this is my bug zapper. And once I start using this shelf, I'll move that out to a different spot. I make sure to keep a lot of these fans, and these are USB fans. This is my extension cord setup, and I have a spot for USB plugs. That way I can plug my fans up to charge when I use those. That extension cord outlet station, and I got it so that I could use as many different sizes of plugs. The AeroGardens come in different size plugs. So some of them come where you can plug it to the side, and then the others, like for this one, is much larger and it takes up more room. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when you're figuring out how you're going to plug these things in, as well as your lighting. So let's talk about the shelf. So on this 5-tier shelf, I also have these liners. I was finding that as I watered, or if a plant fell over, soil was falling through and ending up on the lights below. So I got these liners to prevent that, and they'll easily wipe off. These Growlights, I can link them. They're pretty cheap. They were just like $30, I think. And these are LED lights. They do have a little bit of heat on them, not much. This one is the 4-foot, And I have 2 on this shelf. I don't know if you can see that. So I have 2 lights on each shelf. Now before I got this shelf, I had a smaller shelf, and these are just 2-foot lights. And so I have 2 here and 2 here. So I have 4 on this bottom shelf. And I use these hooks and chains to be able to raise and lower them depending on what the plants need. So I have started some flowers here, and you can see they've started to come up, and they have the vermiculite on them. And then right over here, these are all things that needed light to germinate. So there's no vermiculite on those. I can also show you this. So I have these, which are just cup holders. So anytime I use the solo cup method, when I need something that's for larger plants or plants that have gotten too big, I was finding that I would put them in these trays and they would just fall over. And it was hard to water them. If I took them outside and the wind blew, they would just keep falling over. So I found these cup holders on sale, and I can even bottom water because they are closed. And so I'll use these for that. And I also can just easily carry it out. This is my Vago Garden Growlight stand that has a little cabinet at the bottom. And that's what this looks like. And it also has adjustable shelves, so you can move it closer or further away from the light on these different shelving levels. So I was using this one in the middle for taller plants. I also like to keep these boxes just in case I need to get my plants closer to the light. They're the perfect size to fit a tray on. And then right under here at the bottom, these are the Vago Garden seedling trays. And they have been through the same thing as the bootstrap farmer. Left them outside through all the summer and winter, just cleaned them up and brought them in, and they still look good and sturdy. So these work just as well. And then right down here, under here, I have a seedling mat, and I use it for plants that need heat to germinate. And let me pull that out. That's what that looks like. And it's just plug in. I also keep a little rug here just in case I drop soil. It's easy to just vacuum it up. So let's see what's in the cabinet. So I just keep a lot of extra things in here. And in this one, I like to use this Espoma organic indoor houseplant food to water my seedlings. And I dilute this. This is my AeroGarden plant food. I actually use this in all my hydroponic systems. Extra filter. These are the fungus net sticky traps and some hydrogen peroxide for cleaning. In the other one under here, I just have some more of this sticky tape, and then some of the baskets, extra chains, and charging cords for the fans. And then I just had this bottle of water, and I use this to keep the top of the seedlings moist so that they don't dry out just until they germinate. And I use this on top of the ones that require light to germinate. And then I use this to measure my fertilizer. I have this masking tape that I like to use to label a lot of things. More of these sticky traps. And then I have these that I got from Etsy. And these are the seed starter tray pod caps that I use on the AeroGarden. So if I remove a plant, I can cover it up and make sure light doesn't get into the system. And previously I was just using masking tape to cover those holes. And that's what I'll still use if I don't have enough of those caps. And then these are just extra seed trays, the larger size. And that is what's in here. All right, then right over here next to it, I keep this 5-gallon bottle of water right over here. And so if I need water, if I need to water, I don't have to go up and down stairs or down the hallway to get water. This makes it more convenient for me to use right here, get things done quickly. And then right here is a spray bottle of 91% alcohol. I use that for cleaning. And I've had a problem before with spider mites. And Mike, the Chaotic Gardener, told me that this 91% alcohol helps to clean and get rid of spider mites. So I wipe everything down with that alcohol before I get started for the season. Right, and I have this let pot here. And I have another AeroGarden Bounty Basic. This AeroGarden Bounty Basic is actually my favorite hydroponic system. And the reason is because I can take this whole base off. And sometimes I will take the whole base off, take it outside to harden off, and then just take the pods out and plant them. That is the easiest way. This is another bug trap. More seed starting trays. And then just another extension cord. I think right over here, I keep some vinegar, and that's what I use to disinfect my hydroponic systems. These trays, foil trays. These foil trays, I use them for starting sweet potato slips. So I like to fill it with soil, sit the potato in there, and keep it under the Growlight. I've also used it to start ginger and turmeric. So those come in handy. Also have some larger seed starting trays. You can see my beautiful veggie farming towels. And these were made by Unbiased LLC. I'll link her. So this is my whole setup. All of the hydroponic systems. I don't think I talked about this one. This one has the Leica pebbles in it. I haven't used it yet, so interested to see how that one works out. That's just another AeroGarden Harvest. And so this is everything. And I'll come back and show you once it's more full of plants and show you what that looks like. In the comments, let me know if you start seeds indoors, and if you learned anything new in this video, give me a thumbs up and come back and follow my spring gardening journey. Thanks for watching. Happy growing.